Today we are going to be taking a look at Aces of Thunder. Now today's video has been sponsored. They have given me a free copy of the game and they have given me the Hotez Warthog from Trustmaster, which is honestly a pretty good stick, and I kind of regret not buying it earlier, but I'll get into that in a little bit. I very quickly just want to preface what today's video is about. In the brief that I got for the sponsorship, it stated, explore the game and have fun with it. I am allowed to be negative about it. This is not an issue, but I overall think that the game honestly isn't as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. Yes, there are issues with it, it's far from perfect, but I honestly think that it has some actual perks going for it and some things that actually make this game pretty fun to fly. Now this is the way you spawn in. You spawn in the, well, they call it a hangar, but I'm not really seeing it. There is no roof over our head whatsoever, but this is what they have called the hangar, and here you can inspect your planes and you can perhaps even walk up to them and look at the models. The models are, as you expect, they're basically the same as in War Thunder. They are high fidelity, they're not perfect, but I think that they serve the job because you actually get a decent amount of planes, and that's one of the issues that I've heard from people, that you only get about, what is it, 20 planes for 30 bucks. If we compare this to Flaming Cliffs in DCS, you don't even get 10. They're also not high fidelity models, you don't get interactable cockpits, so I think that this is instantly a non-issue, and I think that it serves an actual purpose. And while you might call it lazy, there is also some actual benefits to this. You now don't have to worry about learning 600 different planes by discovering what number it says on the tail. If you see a 109 in your 6, it's a G2 or an F4, and you can easily tell the difference by the color of the nose. But even if you don't, guess what? It's still a 109. These planes fly roughly the same. And while the F4 is better on the deck, of course, the G2 still handles somewhat similarly in sim. And I think that this is good because you can identify quickly what's around you and you can just instantly go to town on them. There are no premium 109s in other tech trees where you see someone fly, you get close to them, and then you see an American roundel just to figure out that it's an actual friendly. But what are the planes in the lineup? We have the P-51C, the P-63A, the SB-2C, and the P-47D-22. And then we have some pack vehicles. We have the F4U-4, the P-40, and the SBD. Now, I'm not a fan of extra planes behind the paywall, but other sims also do this, so I'm not going to rip on them in specific. I think that this is just something that we just have to deal with. Then we have Germany, which has two 109s, the G2 and the F4, and then we have the A4-190 and the BF-110. We have for Russia two Yaks, Yak-3, Yak-9T, and then we have the LA5FN and the IL-2M. Britain, Spitfire, Typhoon, Firefly, Mosquito, Hurricane, and another Spitfire. Now we can see here that the Mosquito is absolutely humongous, and this is something that I do kind of appreciate about the VR aspect here. You can really appreciate the scale, because if I go to something like Japan and look at an A6M, the plane is immediately a lot smaller. We also have the Ki 61, the J2M2, the D4Y3, and that is it. And then of course we have some World War I planes, which are basically the size of my, I think it's, my car is bigger actually. And if you want to roleplay as the Red Baron, you of course can. And a lot of these planes have camos, not all of them do, but most of them will have something to look at. Now, that is the hangar, and this is where you customize your vehicle. This is where you look at your rewards. I already did all of them today. We have the little leaderboard here, and while it might say I played for 1.5 hours, I'm on about 200 kills right now, and that is something that I like about this game. It is actually pretty fast paced, and that's one of the issues that I have. Now you might know that I play this little game called War Thunder, and that I occasionally play aerialistic battles. But you also might know that I used to play a hell of a lot of IL-2 1946 back in the day. I burned out from sims, and it's mainly because I just had to fly around so much, doing absolutely nothing. And I think that this is a great compromise, and I think this is a great stepping stone simulator game. There is not that many planes to learn, but they're still pretty different, so you have plenty of variation. The maps are relatively small, and that's it. It's actually pretty action-packed for a sim, and that's one of my main issues, where you fly around for 2 hours, you run into 2 planes, you get third-partied, and that is it. I have played this game for about 15 hours at this point. I actually had a pretty decent time. Most of it is in online battles, of course, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to showing you what this game has to offer, and I might actually get back into sim and make some videos on it in the future. Whether it's this game, DCS or IL2, I'm not entirely sure yet, because I'm really still getting familiar with a VR on my head. I have rudder pedals because my stick doesn't have a twisty axis, which is really messing me up. But I'm here to learn, I'm here to play, and I'm here to have some fun. Let's take a quick look at the main feature of this game, which is of course going to be the cockpit. So we get into the plane, we can change our fuel here, we can change our ammos here by simply clicking on it, and there is one thing that you have to unlock in this game, and it's your weapons and your ammo belts. Now the requirements aren't too steep. As I just showed you, in about 6 games I got about 30 kills, and most of those games I played pretty terribly. I was also trying to ground pound a little bit, so I didn't have the best success, but I got about 6 kills per battle, which is pretty good for a sim. The matches last about 20 minutes, so it doesn't take you all that long to unlock everything. Now here, if I want to switch out my cannons, I can, of course. I can put on the gun pods. There they are. Do they appear from this angle? You can't really see them, but it doesn't really matter. We change the belts. We go, of course, to stealth, because that's what I'm used to in War Thunder, and then we spawn into the plane. And honestly, first things first, it's what you expect. You can look around, you can whip your cock around, you can jerk it with both your hands if you so desire, and you can control your stick with your mind. There is one thing here that I do want to preface. If you do not have a VR, I don't recommend this game. And if you don't have a stick, I really don't recommend this game, because when you only play with a VR, you can grab your stick with actually both your hands. No, you can't do that. That's a little bit unlucky. But you can move your stick and you can fly this way, but then you have to do your rudder with this little thumbstick. These controls are absolutely abhorrent, and I do not recommend it. But the stick is one thing that you can interact with. I really recommend to just use a flight stick and play the game that way. I do think that you can play it without a VR headset, but I don't really think you can play this without a stick or additionally a HOTAS. I'm running the Quest 3, and we can actually go and close the cockpit. And we can close the cockpit. Thank you. Now, there are some things here that are interactable. The main thing is going to be the throttle. Now there we go. We can throttle up. I'm not gonna do it because I'm trying to sit stationary here and show you the things. We can of course use the stick. We can use the flaps and stuff. But overall, the cockpit is there for immersion. All the dials work, all the gauges work, and it's great to familiarize yourself before you actually start playing, because, well, you need to know that this is altitude and this is speed. These are the two most important things. Now, I do keep an eye on my temps, of course, but if you really want to, you can look down at your little leg here and you can see how much ammo we got, how much fuel, and the temps, as well as the amount of throttle that we have applied. And this is about it for the cockpit. All the cockpits are well made, they look good, but they're not that special. It's not like they have everything being interactable. I can't pull a fire extinguisher or, you know, do certain things. It's a little bit unlucky, but overall I do think that it serves its purpose. Now here comes my first gripe with this game. I have to hold control while I try to go back to the hangar, and that is one of my main issues with this, because I have to hold control while I'm fiddling around with my two little hands. I'm doing jazz hands, I'm actually doing the gritty right now. That is one of my biggest pet peeves in this entire game, and the menu is a little bit finicky. Now if we go through everything, you can look at everything, sure, and we can take a look at the game modes. Now we have some War Tales here, which is essentially the campaign. I didn't really get far into it. I mainly started to play the actual single player battles, which are right here. There's quite a few of them, and I'm just gonna start by showing you what they have to offer. This is the list. You can tell that you can actually fly the FU4, just only in a single player game. Now, if you want to quickly go through them, be my guest, but there is a decent amount of single player missions. You can also make custom battles, which they just updated, so now we have Team Deathmatch. And this game is updated all the time, and they do change the quality of life, and so far I do think that compared to 2 weeks ago, the game is a lot better to play. But we have to keep in mind the game is just out. There are a lot worse when it comes to day one releases. Now here we have some mission editors. We can choose one of these theaters. Let's go for Battle of My Bulge, as I jerk it with both my hands again. And then we can say, well, I want to fight in the Libramont district. I want to fight at a friendly rear, or perhaps I want to be behind enemy lines, and you can just choose whatever the hell you want. And then you can choose the scenario. I would go for head-to-head combat. You just get stuck into like a 16v16, and it's one massive furball. It is a little bit overwhelming because you can't really keep track of everyone, especially without spotting going on and without any markers. So you end up getting jumped or perhaps flying towards friendlies just to find out that you're helping your enemy. You can choose all the other things as well. Pardon me. And then here we again have the campaign. I didn't finish it. I basically went straight into multiplayer battles. But let's first take a look at some of the single player stuff and just familiarize ourselves with the game. Here we are in the Yak-9T with the 37, and it's a mission about spotting enemy spotters and then trying to shoot them down. After that you're going to get engaged by some of the fighters, and that is going to be the end of the mission. The missions are pretty simple. It's either escort, fly from waypoint to waypoint, go through a bank of mist, you have some intercept missions, you have some defend missions, and you just have missions where you defend your ground troops. There is a little bit of everything, but the replayability here isn't that high because, well, you can only play these missions in a single plane. So half of these missions are strictly ground pounding in an SB2C or an IL-2, but the issue is that ground AI is a bit like old War Thunder. Imagine 2016 Saipan with all the little landing craft. If you try to play Japan and you get Saipan, you're just going to get absolutely obliterated by the amount of PvE AI units that are scattered around the maps. And because we are not going that fast, because it's sim, and you are dogfighting more instead of conserving speed, because you can't really tell where everyone is, what ends up happening is that you are just going to get absolutely pulverized by the ground AA. A little bit unlucky, but luckily most of the maps are okay, and when you look at the multiplayer aspect, there's only 1 or 2 maps that really have this issue. And then we have the bots in itself. The bots feel kind of cheaty in the flight department. It feels like they always have empty fuel or something. It's not a giant difference in performance, but you definitely notice it. When you fly the Typhoon, for example, you will easily outturn a BF-109 because the discrepancy is just too big. But when you play the Typhoon, the 109 almost keeps up with you. And that's kind of weird. Now, if you are in a good position, you can just pull in because again, the difference isn't that massive, but it feels like I'm on 30-40 minutes of fuel and they are completely empty. And then we get to the aimbot. They get to shoot at you from 800 meters sometimes. Well, that's a little bit excessive, like 600 meters sometimes. But for sim, that is a long distance, and they shoot pinpoint. If you don't move out of the way, you either get your wings sawn off, you get your pilot knocked out, or maybe you get your boxer briefs completely perforated. It's a little bit annoying. It's also a thing with the gunners, the BF-110s and stuff, the IL-2s. The gunners are an absolute menace, and at the end of this mission, you'll see exactly what I mean. You get in that gunner range for like a couple of seconds, and if you don't preemptively move out of the way, it's probably going to one-shot your pilot or your engine, and it wouldn't be the first death that I had when it comes to multiplayer battles. It's rather annoying. Then we go to the feedback when you're playing. I feel like this could be a little bit more. You have some planes that are very violent in terms of wing stalls. Think about planes like the J2 M2. When you're going slow, there is no buffeting. There is no stress on the plane. At least you don't hear any of these audio cues. At high speed you hear these, but at high speed you don't really wing stall that often. It's not that much of an issue, but you just can't tell when you are approaching the limit. Am I pulling 99% of what I can before my wing stalls out? Or am I pulling 40%? You can't really tell, other than, well, if you're going a little bit faster, the G-lock. The G-lock is a thing in this game that used to be kind of excessive. I feel like they fixed it the other day. I had a little bit of a rant going on here about the G-lock. You couldn't really pull above 450. It's nowhere near as bad now. I think you can go about 500, 550, and it makes sense that you G-lock pretty quickly. Just makes sense that sometimes you neck G to not black out. However, in this game, especially with the bots being able to completely negate it, they already pull slightly harder than they actually should. And because they can actually aim pretty well, if you try to fight a bot at high speed, you are going to get absolutely rinsed, because they have just better flight model, they don't pass out, and you being faster doesn't make their aim any worse. It's kind of unnatural what these pilots do. A plane doesn't retain energy like that. That's a quote for the Bible, and some of you might still remember that reference. If you still do, you're a real one. You've been around for probably like 5 years at this point, if you're actually watching this. Into online, I'm playing the Yak-9T, and I'm in a 1v2 against a 190 as well as a BF-109. Now, I have them both below me, so I have the energy advantage, and I do have the better plane for this kind of scenario. So I loop in behind the BF-109, we saw his wing clean off, and then we go back into the vertical with the 190. Now, I'm not going to be able to get the shot quite yet. I'm going to try to stay behind his nose, or behind his tail, and I'm going to do a little bit of a lag pursuit. I'm going to force the flat turn here. He tries to reverse his turn. He's a little bit late on that, and he gives me a lot of room to work with. So now I'm inside of his loop. I get a shot, I get a couple of hits, but I don't do any real damage. But at this point, he is slow. The 190 doesn't handle all that well when it comes to these speeds. Yes, it's the same in this game, I know. And the Yak-9 or the Yak-3, it's just what you think of it. It's not the best in terms of firepower. It feels a bit like old Chevaks, but it's good enough. The flight performance is good. It's decently fast. It climbs well, and it thrives at this kind of altitude. And it might just be one of the best planes in the entire game, together with, in my opinion, the Typhoon. Now we crit this guy. He's kind of damaged. I'm trying to loop in behind him. I overshoot. He loses less speed than I thought, and I thought it was slightly more damage. I'm a little bit too fast. In sim, of course, you can't really gauge distance that well, and you can't tell the closure speed all that well, so I ended up overshooting. But we go up and over, we throttle down, and down he goes. The Yak-3 is overall, it's very easy to play. The only thing you have to worry about is going really fast, but that's not an issue, because you're not trying to fight people at high speed in this game anyway, because the G-lock really is just that bad. Taking a look at the Spitfire Mk IIB, keep in mind that we only have 60 rounds per gun in the 20mm, and it's an absolute pain in the ass to aim. The engine is so damn long that you can't see anything, and the nose is incredibly twitchy. The flight performance itself feels pretty decent and is definitely manageable, but trying to get your guns on, especially with the limited visibility, is a bit of a pain in the ass, because, well, it feels like trying to play on a mouse with maximum sensitivity. The fact that you only have 60 rounds per gun doesn't really help, and the MGs, they're not fantastic. This guy stalls himself out, and just look at the amount of punishments he takes before he falls apart. And this is of course normal, this makes complete sense. But together with the slowness and the lack of energy generation, it just means that you're very often stuck in a low energy state, and it's very easy to get third party. Now if you lock someone into a fight, you keep it somewhat horizontal, you manage your speed, which is pretty easy to do with a stick. I'm just pulling very gently. This is an older recording that kind of got screwed up, but whatever. I'm dogfighting a BF-109, and you can tell that I can turn a lot harder. Well, maybe you can't tell just yet, but just trust me, I can. I'm managing my speed here to see if I can actually lock him into a dogfight, because he is still a little bit faster, and if he notices me turning, he might just run away. So I'm trying to get position, and the second I'm in that window where I'm about to get a shot, I will just yank on that stick and I'll instantly get on him, which I think we're gonna do in about a loop or one or two. Looking at this, I'm slowly out turning, I'm slowly creeping onto the 6. He goes vertical and I just stamp on the elevator and I instantly have the shot. We saw his wing clean off. Luckily this time it happened with a singular shell. That is not something that you can potentially rely on. So here we get onto the 6 of a guy. He starts to turn. I need to go for the guy that's all the way in the back, so I kind of switch targets here. and you can tell just how violent that is. I'm not trying to pull fully, but it's forcing me to, and you can tell that the nose is incredibly twitchy, and together with the fact that I'm not used to VR or rudder pedals, it was a little bit annoying to get shots on target sometimes with this plane. With the other planes I had a lot less issues with that. With the Spitfire especially, it was absolute hell. Now we are in the Mosquito. We are together with our homie, which you can in fact jerk off. I did try. And we are engaging a player in the 190. He had just killed me. That's why I'm no longer in the Spitfire. And I am now in the Mosquito. And I'm trying to run him down. So we go for the throttle drop. I'm going to predict that he's going to try to go there. I aim, I miss. That is just a skill issue. And I'm expecting him to do a weird kind of roll here. And he does. He inverts, but I'm going a little bit slower than him. And if he tries to go up, I'm very easily going to be able to follow him. And if he goes down, I might have a bit of an issue. But here we use the rudder pedals. And we kind of just drifted into his flight path. And we just blow his shit smooth off. Now here we are in the Spitfire. And this guy has been boom and zooming me for the last 3 to 4 minutes. He pushed me all the way down to the deck, and then he lost me for a little bit, so I'm able to regain a little bit of speed here, a little bit of altitude, which I'm going to need in this plane. I'm also getting engaged from the left, so I'm trying to climb away, trying to keep my eye on him, but I think he lost me too, or that he perhaps started to ground pound because I'm too far away. I'm not entirely sure, but we're now going to fight this guy one-on-one. Now the first 5 or 6 times he did this, I'm not going to show you. This video is going to be long enough as it is. I'm trying to dive out a little bit, pick up some speed so I have the ability to re-engage him. So we don't start pulling fully, we just wait for him to get a little bit closer. I know that this is a player, so he is not going to have laser beam aim, so I'm able to just move just that little bit later. He hits me with a single 8mm, it's a BF on a 9, and I predict that he's going to go up. So I'm trying to get my shot here, but the nose is so twitchy and I'm just too slow, and I'm not quite able to get the guns on target here. Now at the moment I think my rudder pedals still work, but they are going to disconnect in the middle of this fight, which is rather annoying because I'm going to need them if I want to shoot accurately. He's trying to run loops on me, so I go up over his nose. I had just enough speed, just close enough to him to be able to do that, and he goes up again. Kind of a big mistake, because now I'm going to be able to park myself firmly onto a 6, and this should be a relatively easy shot. But as I am pulling up, I'm about to stall, he pulls to the left, I try to get the shot off with my rudder, but I overpress it slightly and I overlead. And then he goes down, I get the neck G shot, and he just flies between my rounds because I'm just too close, not good enough of an angle, and then he tries to dive away. But at this point, I'm firmly planted onto his 6. And I just need to make sure that he doesn't run away from me. The BF 9 isn't that much quicker, and because I'm close to him, he needs to dodge my rounds if he wants to win. And he's gonna try. He's gonna try to run towards the airfield. And at that point, I think here my rudder simply disconnects. And I'm not going to be able to get accurate shots on him. So you can tell that I'm not really using it, because I'm pressing it, but it just doesn't work. He gets to run around for free. I'm going to take pot shots at him. He's trying to run to his airfield for that classic War Thunder experience. Get some hits in. He is running away from me. We get a little bit closer after hitting him, and then we put him straight into the ground. Now, as you can tell, I'm looking at my rudder pedals. They aren't actually moving. That's what I was looking down for. You can see me doing it again. I'm trying to see if my rudders work. They don't, which is a little bit annoying. I needed to reconnect them, which I did, I think, after this fight. I was about to take my headset off, adjust my pedals, and then I can hear something behind me. It's a player in the BF 110. So we need to start going defensive here. I am more petrified of that gunner than I am of the front guns, because once I get behind him, which is in about 1 or 2 turns, that gunner is just going to absolutely obliterate me. So I'm going to try to just get a high angle shot here, so he doesn't get the gunner on me, but he turns away from me, and he is going to be using that gunner to its full effect. He's trying to go up here. Luckily I'm below him. That's the ideal angle for these kind of planes, and I try to go for the lead. He turns his plane around, and I need to kill him right here, because if this takes too long, he's going to just destroy my engine, and I'm not a big fan of that. And this time I get a little bit lucky, maybe because he's pulling very violently. We put him into a flat spin, and we're going to take a look at the next plane. the P-51C. And if you know it in War Thunder, you know that this thing is an absolute demon, and it still is over here. The 50 cals are easy to aim, we're using tracers, everything gets set on fire, and fires are basically confirmed kills in this game, because you are not gonna be flying around when your plane is actually burning. Most people bail out, and otherwise they will crash in due time if they even manage to put it out in the first place. It's fast, it turns actually pretty damn well, and the nose authority is great. So even though this guy is already turning, and I kind of stick onto his 6, with him being at a terrible angle for me, I almost still get the shot. He then neck G's towards the trees here, and I'm just gonna wait for him to pitch up, just so I can put him down. Look how effortlessly I just pull in and blow his wing smooth off. That's gonna be a quick kill number 3, and then on our way back out of here, I notice another Focke-Wulf 190, and we're going to get ourselves a nice little... Well, I'm going to get 6 in total, but the last 2 are basically people flying AFK, so I'm not going to be including those in this little clip. He's gonna turn right in front of me, I'm just waiting for him to turn, and then, just like the other one, he tries to go vertical against a plane that has very fast velocity guns with a lot more nose authority. Send him to the Shadow Realm. We then kill another guy on our way out. That's kill number 4 actually, I think. And then the next game on the exact same map, we are kind of gonna struggle. Now we are going to get 9 kills without dying. I do have a little bit of damage from earlier. I engaged the BF-110 and I got my engine cowling hit. Didn't get a leak fortunately. And at this point it's looking to be like 3v7 or 8. So I'm just zipping around trying to find teammates that I can actually assist with what they're doing. Now this guy is smoking. The P-47 is still going to be losing this dogfight, so I'm going to set myself up so he pulls directly in front of me again, as he probably isn't aware of my presence just yet. I mean, he probably is at this point. We're just going to make sure that he dies, don't fly into the wreckage. Wouldn't be the first time, unfortunately. And then we just break off and reassess the situation. I'm looking for furballs. I don't have many friendlies left, but I'm hoping that the enemy kind of clumps up around them so I can pick them up for free. Whatever it is, it's like 8v4, so it's not completely terrible just yet. We have 2 kills. The first guy was the BF-110 that I mentioned earlier, that also managed to hit us, but that's like 5 minutes ago, and nothing in between really happened, because I have just been zipping around the map trying to find people to shoot at. Now, I'm going to help my teammate, but I noticed this guy on my 6, so we are going to be merging with him. I go up over the wingtip, try to dodge at very last second. It's a BF-109 F4, and I need to treat that with care. In an actual dogfight one-on-one, if he's better than me, I lose. If he's equal and slightly worse, I probably still lose actually. And I'm not the best at sim because, well, again, I haven't used any of this setup and I haven't played in about 6 to 7 years. And no, that wasn't on purpose. F4 is kind of slow actually, so I decided to go a little bit more vertical. I'm hoping for him to kind of pitch up after me, and he does. I should have the angle right here. And then we just go up again. Now this is not the best idea to do against the F4, but I felt like I had the opportunity here because he's going very slow. He's not going to be following me up, and I thought that I could complete the loop and slot him right behind him. And that's roughly what happens, but not quite. He is going to be able to go vertical again after diving and picking up a little bit of speed. And instead of going vertical after him, I'm going to go horizontal, keep my rate a little bit higher, as he burns off all the speed trying to go vertical. Now if he keeps going vertical like that, eventually he will kill me. But this time around, because I went horizontal, I got a bit of an angle and I managed to basically one-shot him straight in the engine. And that's going to be, I think, kill number 3. Now you can see the damage there. It's not completely terrible, but the wing root is kind of hampering my ability to pull very hard, because wing stalls do happen a little bit easier when, well, you have asymmetrical damage. It didn't hamper me too much, but I do need to be a little bit more mindful of it than I would like to be. We see another guy go up here, so I'm going to intercept. See the P-47 on the left. I think it's a P-47 or perhaps the P-63. I'm not entirely sure. I'm looking at a very small screen right now. But we're going vertical again. They are going pretty slow because they are engaging my teammate, so we are just able to go straight vertical for free. And then we can cash in all that speed and see if we get a bit of an angle. So we are diving in here, just looking around. I see this guy going relatively slow, so I'm just gonna pull the trigger, hit him a bit, hit him some more, pull in one last time, and luckily that sets him on fire. And that guy is completely out of the match. Second one goes straight vertical in front of me, and this is why I like using teammates as bait, because you just get to rack everyone up completely for free. Now we shoot at some BF-110s again. We need to make sure that we actually get the ticket lead, so we set this guy on fire, saw his wing off, and then on our way, when we're turning around, this 190 comes at us. Now he's already smoking. I'm not sure if he has that much damage, but the 190s at low speed don't handle all that well, at least not in the turning department. So I'm gonna go a little bit more vertical to make sure that he's as slow as possible, but I don't want to go straight vertical because his engine power at super low speed is actually better. Drop the landing flaps, or the takeoff flaps actually. Throttle drop a little bit to solidify my position. And I can tell that I'm not really trying to go for the shot here. I'm kind of doing a lag pursuit. I'm waiting behind him, and I'm just making sure that he will never escape me. And at this point he tries to reverse his turn. I whiffed the shot, but it doesn't really matter because I made sure that I had a good position. This guy is never going to be getting rid of me. He tries to go vertical one more time, and I think at this point his engine is actually cooked. I don't have much ammo left, so I make sure to just kind of tube tap him, and I think that's going to be kill number 7. I think the highest I've gone on was 13 in one game without dying. Felt pretty good about that, but of course I'm recording on a VR headset, and half of them have been kind of in very bad quality. I'll make a second video with all the leftover footage, and I'll probably include those clips in there as well, at least if you guys actually want to see it. After killing that guy, we go and help our teammate out again, who has been dogfighting this 109 for the last 4 or 5 minutes, I think. They just can't seem to hit each other. So I come in as third party central, and I cut throttle, and I make sure to just hose this guy down, as I only hit him with 250 cals, as these wing guns are pretty annoying to aim with at super close ranges. But he is damaged, he is below me, and I just make sure that I don't turn in front of him, as he gets absolutely obliterated by my squad mate or teammate. I'm not sure, I don't know who that guy is, but he killed him anyway. After that we killed 2 more BF-110s, and we jump straight into the BF-109. And honestly, it was kind of a pain in the ass to get footage for this thing, because well, these teams just win everything because of the cannon damage probably, and the flight models are actually not the best. Yaks are better, Typhoons are gonna kind of do you in, so it's not the best to play, but they're still pretty good. I'm playing the G2 Trop here with the cannon pods. I don't have the cannon ammo equipped. I have only universal because I haven't gotten the amount of victories required just yet. I haven't played the 109s much. I've mainly been playing the 190s, but again, it's all on the bad footage that wasn't really usable. So we merge here with the P-47. I'm trying to get behind him, but there is a furball going on, so I need to pick my lines very carefully. I'm trying to stall out the P-47. He flies through my guns here, but I just overcorrect a little bit. I shouldn't have touched the stick at all, and I probably would have hit that. But unfortunately, I am touching my stick, and thus we blow all over anything but him. But doesn't really matter. In the dogfight, the P-47 is never going to be winning this. We managed to get a singular hit in there, probably the 7 or the 8 mils actually. So we go down here, drop the throttle just to cool the engine slightly, and he's trying to go down as well, but he can't really finish that loop. He needs to break off, and because of that I am now dead on his 6, and he needs to do something. He tries to go vertical, but it doesn't really matter, because with a P-47 it's only a D22, it's not a D28, so I'm gonna have a pretty easy time just sawing this guy in half, and that's, I think, going to be kill number 3. So we fly away here. We're gonna try to reclimb a little bit because we are completely on the deck. We are incredibly vulnerable. And then I learned that the P-47 that I just killed got, well, I didn't get the kill for it. That's a little bit annoying. I'm not really sure how the kill credit system exactly works, because sometimes I'll piece someone completely apart and then he crashes and no one seems to get the kill. I'm not sure what happens there. Sometimes too in the result screen it says you got 8 kills in the BF-109 or whatever, and then for the session you got 9 kills even though I only spawned in once. So I'm not entirely sure how the kill crediting works, or maybe that the scoreboard itself is just bugged, but it is kind of annoying. And only just now I managed to get my 10th assist, so I'm not sure if it's just steals or if the kills just aren't credited, if they count as hits or crits or severes. I'm not entirely sure what reward system they are working with, but it doesn't really matter as long as I see the planes explode. P-51C here in front of us, he's not quite fast enough and he's trying to do a loop, so we tap him out of the air. should be kill number 4. And then we look around and we see more victims in the near vicinity. Honestly, at this point the game is pretty much over. I think they have like 2 guys left and we have like 9 or 10. That's just kind of how it goes in the German teams. It is rather annoying because I really like playing German planes, but with these teams it's kind of frustrating to get good footage because most of the time they all die within the first 4 to 5 minutes and you get absolutely nothing done. It's not uncommon to get 2 kills and then the game is over. So I was mainly playing the Axis side and I was mainly playing the Typhoon. But yet again, most of that footage isn't really going to be usable, so it's not going to be making today's video as, well, quality kind of matters when you are getting sponsored. So I try in for the shot here, I'm just sitting behind him, lead the shot, squeeze the trigger, down he goes. And then we just mop up the second last guy here, he's also in a 1v7, so I just come in and I'm just gonna do the gritty on him. I mean, he is not gonna have much of a chance. I'm just gonna be finishing up this game. And honestly, that is probably one of my biggest complaints about this game right now. There is just not enough players. And I know I can't entice all of you to start playing this. It's quite accessible, but you do need the equipment, which kind of makes it not that accessible at all. It's quite unfortunate. I think the game is good, it's a very solid foundation, but I do think that it needs some work and there's definitely a couple of things that I'm really missing here. The updates that regularly come out do make the game a hell of a lot more fun and a hell of a lot more playable. At this point I've actually played it even more. We are now sitting on 24 hours and about 10 of those to 15 of those are going to be in multiplayer, and I'm still having a decent time. I might play this more in the future. I'm getting a little bit more accustomed to the pedals now, but I'm just kind of petrified to press them, meaning that I don't really learn how to use them either. This is a big handicap of mine. I just keep trying to twist the stick. I just can't get the muscle memory out of my head. And then here lastly we have the Typhoon, which is together with the P-51C probably my favorite plane in the entire, well, in this game right now. We are being engaged by a Focke-Wulf 190 and this is also a player. We get engaged. I try to go up over his nose. I'm trying to make sure that he can't quite roll in. And then we just kind of try to pitch up after him. The issue is that he has a lot more energy than us. And he is going to be trying to energy trap us in a minute here. I get the shot here. Don't manage to hit it. And then he tries to go straight vertical. But just like in War Thunder, when you stall yourself out, you make yourself a very easy target. And it's the exact same thing here. Aiming is on average a lot harder here because you have no range and you can't really spray, as well as the fact you're controlling it with your joystick. But when you give me that much of a presentation, of course I will take it with both my hands. These cannons are fantastic. It's probably the reason why I like this thing so much. It turns well, it's fast, the cannons are great, and just like you are used to, the roll rate is not all that fantastic, but it's definitely manageable with all the other attributes that it has. Try to not go as vertical as you do in War Thunder with this thing. You will stall out and die eventually. But with the third party system that I've kind of set up here, you don't really have to worry about it all too much. Sometimes you'll get 4 or 5 guys on you at the same time though, and half of them will be bots. It's kind of done deal. You can try to do something, but you can just see that the players just fall behind as the bots clearly keep up with you for no apparent reason. So this guy in half, and then we go straight into the next match where we fight the Germans again. And that is the other thing that I like about this sim. You only face one nation at a time, so you don't really get the system that you have in War Thunder where you fight Japanese together with P-51s. That's a terrific combination to really play into. Here it's only allies versus Axis with only 2 nations at a time, so you don't really have to worry about running into a Spitfire together with the Mustang, or something like a Zero together with a Mustang. None of that really happens here, so the second you know what nation you're facing, which is mostly dictated by the map, you know what you can expect, what you can run into, and thus you can make a battle plan. If you run into Germans as the Americans, it plays quite a bit differently than when you are facing the Japanese. And trying to play the Japanese, I didn't really have a good time. The Zeros have the slow velocity Type 99 cannons. The J2M2 is incredibly, well, it also feels like playing on a 2 billion DPI mouse. It's incredibly twitchy, and it stalls one wing very quickly over the other, meaning that you just continuously go into like a semi-spin. You're constantly fighting the plane, and it just didn't really feel good. Might have something to do with the auto trim. I'm a big fan of this feature, but I'm not sure if the Japanese planes, or at least the J2M2, actually has a trim feature. So that might be a reason for why the plane is so damn snappy. As well as that we have, that I didn't mention before, we have auto engine control. So we don't need to fiddle with the engines, the supercharger gears and all that stuff. We can solely focus on flying, and again, that just makes it another reason to pick it up as one of your first sims, again, as long as you have the equipment. Here we go and get into a dogfight with a player in the BF-109G2. And we managed to get behind him relatively quickly, despite him having an energy advantage. And then he goes horizontal, which he has to do because of my position, but that's going to cost him very dearly, because now I get to basically sit on him completely for free. We get the shot here. I try to get into the roll here, but I just can't do it. I'm gonna throttle drop a little bit, and I'm gonna try to get directly behind him. Unfortunately, I'm not quite able to, because it just doesn't roll. We stall one wing, throttle back up, and I thought he dove back into the houses, but I'm not entirely sure where he is exactly. Turns out when I stalled my wing, he actually went up. I just saw that in the recording, and he is now above and behind me. But at this point, I'm not entirely aware of that, so I go into the dive here. As you see, he's just off the camera, so we just pray to God that he doesn't know how to aim, and we pull directly in front of him. We G-lock, we just get over his nose, and then we go into the vertical. And I'm not gonna go straight vertical. I want to keep it somewhat flat here, as I just kind of stamp on the elevator and turn this into a raid fight. And that's a fight that the 109 will basically never win. Pull into here, pull up, make sure that he doesn't get the shot, and I'm gonna stall above him. He's gonna pull up in front of me, and I should now have a pretty stable position in order to shoot him down. However, he has a lot more power than me, so this is going to take a little bit of extra time. So as long as we don't get third partied, this should be completely fine. So I just keep turning into one direction. I don't want to reverse my turn. I have a terrible roll rate, so I need to make sure that I use as much of my time possible trying to turn into his direction. Stall another wing, almost flying to the cliffs of Dover here, but we are able to kind of recover it, and again go up over his nose as we turn back into him. And we get the shot here, we get a bit of a head on, only get a hit, can't really aim it. And at this point, I know that I have the upper hand. He's going too slow, and this plane at these speeds just turns much better than his. So we get another hit in, that's a water leak, and at this point it's done deal. All I need to do is make sure that I finish the job. But at this point, I think he's already finished. I think I pilot sniped him straight out of the cockpit with that one. And that's essentially the game. It needs some work, but I do think that it has a decent amount of potential. And overall, I had a good time. Thank you very much, Gaijin, for sponsoring today's video. And thank you, Trustmaster, for sending me the 1-to-1 US license replica, the A10 Warthog. Trustmaster has been on it since 1992. They have a lot of experience. And if you want something like the A10 replica, they have it. But if you're more on the budget and you just want a quality stick to play your games with, they will have a lot of different items that will suit your needs. And that's essentially all I have for you today. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to let me know. If you didn't enjoy it, you're probably already writing a comment. Again, thank you all. I'll see you in the next one.